Hi. If you were to turn the clock back, say, 15 years, there weren't many people speaking about the subject of retirement. A moment ago I tuned into PSA, the Professional Speakers Association here in Australia, the Sydney branch, typed in the word retirement, brought up one speaker. One. So obviously there aren't a lot of people already speaking about retirement who are professional speakers earning a living at that. And yet there are. Some of my favourites over the years have been Azul, I think that's A-Z-U-L, I think his surname might be Adams, from the USA, and Dr. Riley Moyes from the United Kingdom, and from our own country, the country I live in, Aussie land, Australia, Beck Wilson, who lives up in Queensland. And of course they run businesses. They earn money from placing videos and attending live conferences and educating retirees and upcoming retirees. And of course they are expert. They certainly know more about it than I do, certainly when it comes to the financial side of things and the legal side of things, making wills and that type of thing. But I'm not going to speak about that here. What I'm going to talk about is this. Quite some years ago I heard someone say, if you attended a big seminar being presented by a learned professor, and he was speaking, say, on the terrorist attack on New York City in 9/11, and he knew all about it. He had graphs and pie charts, and he could go into the biologies and the various DNAs of the people who were killed in, and how many fire brigades turned up, and he knew all about it. Everything about it. And he paused for a moment. Then somebody back in the audience stuck up their hand and said, "Yes, mate, I was there." Who would they want to listen to? At least for a while. The learned professor who could give them all the facts and figures, all the statistics, or the man who actually lived through it? The man who experienced it. Now that's the point I'm making here. Nearly everyone I've watched who speaks on retirement, not all of them, but most of them, are either not retired yet, or have only recently retired, or they've simply transferred from their paid employments with an employer to becoming self-employed and talking about retirement. In other words, they've never really been retired at all. Okay, I'm sounding a bit cynical, but there it goes. I think one of the reasons people watch so many of my videos on retirement is that I speak as the man who stuck his arm up in the conference and said, "I was there. I am there. I am there." I am 30 years into retirement. I'm in my 31st year of retirement. Took voluntary redundancy or left paid work at 59. Turn 90 next year. So I can speak from my experience, personal experience of being a retiree, and what I've done in that time to keep myself occupied, to keep myself fit, to keep myself enthusiastic about living and about living in retirement. How many out there can do that? I would like to see more people like myself who have been retired for a long while step up and start talking about their retirement, what they've done to keep themselves in good stead. Because I'm certainly not the only one. There must be countless thousands of people out there, even people who watch my videos, who can talk about their own retirements and talk about what they're doing, their goals, their aims, their ideals. I'd like to hear from you. The experts know lots of stuff. I follow them and I learn lots from them. I watch TEDx talks about people who talk about retirement and that type of thing. But if you've lived it, and if you're living it now, there are other retirees and people coming up for retirement who'd like to hear from you, your experience, how you lived and how you're living now.